Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Sprout the Anti-Hero, and you're at the Sprout and Dusty Show. And with me is my co-host, as always, Mr. Dusty Grant. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, man. After a week off, I really really dug the show you guys did last week. But after a week off, I'm refreshed, full of
Good, good,
energy, feeling
good.
nice and easy, feeling good, ready to go, man. We got an exciting guest, an exciting show. So yeah, I'm stoked, man. Vacation was awesome.
I figure vacation would be everybody needs a little vacation from time to time. You know what I'm saying? It's like just one of those deals. Everybody needs that time away. And sometimes your environment helps out a lot too. You're stressed out during the course of the week. You got family that's stressing out over stuff. So it's nice to get out of your environment into someplace more serene.
It was. I was. It was weird. We were supposed to go to Chicago to see my family, but my dad was actually in a business meeting with somebody that tested positive for COVID. So
Man.
I got word Monday night. We were supposed to fly out on Wednesday, but I got word Monday night from my dad. He's like, I just can't tell you to come up here in good faith. We have to be safe. So, and he had been around my mom and he'd been around my sister and my nieces and nephews that we were actually going to see. So we ended up having to cancel our flights a day before we left, and just on a whim, we chose Eureka Springs, Arkansas. I was able to find us a place to stay, and man, I'd heard good things about that place, but man, that place is amazing.
Beautiful. It's beautiful,
So
beautiful.
amazing.
Oh, let's pay the bills first, Dusty, before we continue.
Absolutely. Guys, we want to remind you, this show is brought to you by Big Fish Bail Bonds. Big Fish Bail Bonds, we love you. Thank you for sponsoring the show. If you're in the Wichita area and you end up in trouble, you should definitely call Big Fish Bail Bonds, 316-262-4100. Have your loved ones wake up at home because jail sucks. Guys, start watch parties, share the show, share it to pages, share it to groups, anything you can do to help us get the word out. We've got some people on some new platforms listening tonight. Sprout, I think it's Twitch, YouTube, Twitter.
Twitter.
Yeah, we've got this broadcast. This is a new thing where Back Home Media is stepping their game up. The show's been
branching out,
so we're trying to branch out. So anything you guys can do to help manifest that would be much appreciated. We're excited about tonight. We're just excited. We're excited to be here.
Oh man, our guest tonight, he's so badass, dude. I remember being a punk kid and not really appreciating what he was writing back in the day. But now that I grew up and to be a man, I now understand what Mr. Beaudoin was trying to talk about. So later on, we'll have our guest Jedd Beaudoin on the show. Plenty to talk about there. Really well-known and respected guy among Wichita, Kansas people, where I'm from, where Dusty's living right now.
Yeah, Jedd's awesome. He's been I've listened to him on 89.1 for a while. He was actually kind enough to do a couple features for my solo stuff, and ever since then I've had a pretty good relationship with him. He's just a guy that he seems like he'd be a great guest because I think he's going to have a lot of interesting stuff to say. He knows
absolutely.
He knows a lot about a lot of music, and he's talked to and met a lot of people. So I'm sure I'm sure we're all going to get schooled tonight if we end up going that direction. Who really knows what direction we're going to go on here? But yeah, just stoked to have him on.
So back to your trip. What'd you do on that thing, man? I saw some stuff on the internet. You were jumping off of bridges and hanging out, taking pictures of your kids. And, I heard you were caught on some halfway new beach with FatKid. I'm not sure, man. But, yeah, I know Eureka Springs is a beautiful place, man. I've been there a few times myself.
It was amazing. We got there the first day and we just started walking around downtown. They were very diligent about the social distancing. Everyone was wearing masks. All the stores were very aware of that type of stuff, so it felt really safe, felt really good. That's on the main street.
Man, they don't even look like Arkansas.
just down from where we were staying. It almost gives you like a New Orleans vibe when you're there. That it's like this old town feel. There's a bunch of shops, boutiques, old hotels.
Looks like Italy.
Yeah, haunted
Czech Republic.
hotels. And we walked around when we first got there just because we were kind of, when you drive on the road with two 4-year-olds, it's a bit of a grind.
Sure.
So when we got there and we just kind of explored, got some dinner and took it easy the first night. But then we went hiking. We went around some lakes. We went around some places that there was nobody else on the lake except us.
Wow.
And it was just amazing. You're the only one out there. And we went out kayaking, canoeing, and then I jumped off a bridge and we went down in some caverns, and it was just these pictures that you're seeing are actually from the show.
Okay.
From the trip. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But yeah, I got a little better at photography. We were down in the caverns. My son was scared to go down the stairs, so I was trying to carry him in one arm, and he's like 45 pounds down these stairs that were super steep, and it was just
you got an extra workout, huh?
Yeah,
got that upper body going.
Yeah, it was a little sketchy, but man, it was amazing down there. It was just it was shocking to me that within 5 hours of where I live is a place that you can go and experience all that type of stuff, just from the culture to the scenery to everything you can possibly do. It's an awesome place, man. It couldn't have been better.
You know, I think people would get a whole lot more out of life if they just enjoy leaving the rat race for just a little bit and seeing places like Eureka Springs, or, you know, anywhere you can be outside and see hills and trees and breathe fresh air. That's good for everybody, man. I think people need to do that. And camping experience. Hey, that's right. Yeah. Hanging out with FatKid again, I see.
Yeah, FatKid showed up. I didn't know that he followed me on vacation, but I ended up on a new gay beach with FatKid. It went downhill from there. But yeah, it was a great time, man. It is good to get out. I felt, when I came back, I felt so refreshed, especially since the COVID stuff hit in March. My family's been kind of pent up, you know, and my wife's been
for sure.
With the kids. I've at least been able to get out for work, but you know, you're just pent up in the house and you're seeing the same things every day. You get out there and you see this beautiful scenery, and it's just, man, it just really takes the edge off. It was great,
man. Okay, man. You know, I had to spend some time outdoors on my vacation a few weeks back, about a month or so back, man. Definitely a life-changing experience, to say the least. Not going anywhere for a year, but work and home, you know. It was an experience, man. I got to be on the river and enjoy the fresh air. Flying insects don't bother me, you know.
they don't bother me either. I get a little bit spoiled, but
I mean, I'm used to sleeping in strange places anyway, so it's like I'm just used to being outside, and I love it outside. And sometimes it's kind of cool just to go out there and just walk and have, you know, time to yourself to clear your mind, man. And so much clarity happens for me while I'm out there in the woods and stuff like that. You know, you're focused on whatever it is you need to focus on. And like I said, sometimes if you can't afford a shrink, sometimes all you need to do is just go out to the woods, go on a float trip, get you a 12-pack of beer and build a fire and sit out somewhere, man. You never know.
Yeah, kayaking with the boys, and then we get back to the beach. You know, you drink a couple beers and watch the kids play, and we were the only family out there on that place where we were. So it was just just a chill day for once. You know, we all got to hang out, and it wasn't like worrying about cleaning up messes, worrying about getting dirty, worried about what people are eating, what they aren't. You know, it was just, we were just all out there hanging out as a family, having fun, and it was great, man. It was good for all of us. So I came back really, really refreshed and energized. Felt felt good, and felt good all week at work. Felt good training all week. Felt good playing guitar all week. Felt good prepping for the show all week. You know, it just
activity, folks.
Refreshing.
Everyday activity.
Refreshing. Yeah.
Things that you don't have to worry about too much. I don't want to forget to tell you guys, hey, if you're liking what you're seeing and hearing, start your watch parties, you know, on Facebook. Once again, thanks for tuning in on Twitch. Thanks for tuning in on YouTube. And what's that other one?
Twitter.
Periscope,
Twitter.
Periscope, yeah, all that. I guess all that stuff.
These days, we're on there now.
But, you know, start your watch parties. Thank you guys for tuning in on all those platforms. We'd like to bring out our guest for this evening, the man I decided to shave for, and a guy I know you're going to really enjoy, Mr. Jedd Beaudoin. How you doing,
guys.
brother?
How you doing, man?
Not bad. I went to the doctor today, and I found out that I had tendonitis in my leg.
You playing football or something?
Yeah, what are you doing? How do you get leg tendonitis?
Yeah. He was like, hey, yeah. And they gave me a steroid shot. I was like, whoa!
So we've got, you're on PEDs now. You're taking performance enhancing drugs for the show tonight.
I am.
I like where your head's at.
Hey, Fat Kid, can we put this on the screen? Hashtag prayers for Jedd. Well, he's going through some steroid trouble right now, and if the body of Sprout and Dusty show people tune in and send his best wishes to his steroid use at this present point in time, it'll be great. So prayers for Jedd.
Yeah, we don't want Jedd to get in trouble, but
we don't want him to rip his bookcase apart behind him and start screaming obscenities and things like that.
Anything you accomplish from here on out, Jedd, will be followed by an asterisk since you're using performance enhancing drugs.
Prayers for Jedd.
This show is all natural, okay?
All natural. No filler.
Jedd, what have you been up to, man? How's life been for you these days? What's going on in your world?
Oh man, I've been working from home since late March, and I have to tell you, I don't want to go back.
Really? So it's going well for you.
What's that?
So you're able to do the show from home and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
That's great.
We have a little VPN.
Mm-hmm.
I get up, walk 5 feet from the bedroom to where I'm sitting now, do the show, walk 5 feet back to the bedroom, go to sleep.
You ain't even got to put on no drawers, man. That's dope, bro.
So how did you get tendonitis?
Yeah, how the hell you get tendonitis?
That's a mystery.
I don't know. My doctor was like, hey, you have an infection at some point? I'm like, I don't know. And it's like, did you have an injury? I'm like, I don't know, but it hurts.
Like, apparently so. Something happened in between the 5 feet that you walked from the radio station to the bed. You might have tweaked something, and it's all gummed up now. And you got to.
Hey, you might be fighting crime while you're sleepwalking. You never know.
Allergy medicine does strange stuff to people, man. I've been sleeping with Benadryl. My allergies have really been bothering me, so I've been taking Benadryl before I go to bed the last couple nights to kind of help the congestion and stuff. And I have been having some vivid dreams, like dreams where I can, like lucid dreams where I can talk to the person and I can like think about the answer in my head in my dream and actually say it. And it was I got offered a fight in the UFC, and I was going to fight Lyoto Machida, who, if anyone that follows fighting knows who that is, he would starch anybody. He's a legend, and it's like I would get absolutely murdered. But I'm like, why are you dreaming about that? Lay off the Benadryl.
Yeah,
you need to lay off the Benadryl.
Well, I think there's a COVID dream thing that happens, right?
Oh, really?
Is it a symptom?
So do I have COVID? Did we just find out on the show?
No, I mean, like in the pandemic, like I don't know. My dreams are more vivid than they have been otherwise. And so it's like the other night I dreamed that the Smurfs were mounting a major tour with a metal band.
Sweet.
and Smurfette grabbed the mic and she sang the dirtiest, nastiest song. And I woke up and I was like, wow, oh man, I wish I could write that.
I'd be even more afraid if you woke up from that dream and had to change your sheets. That dream sounded cool.
That's the kind of weird stuff that's been going on for me though too. I think it's all related to allergy medicine, because most of the time I don't remember any dreams. My head hits the pillow, I sleep, and I wake up, and I don't remember anything. But lately, since I've been taking that stuff, man, it's given me some really weird visions. Tell our listeners a little bit about your radio show, Jedd.
Okay, so let's see. I've been hosting Strange Currency since 2007.
Great show, by the way.
Yes.
What's that?
Great show, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and it's like I feel like Linda Belcher now. I'm joking. It's like it's just music I love, and so I basically just like whatever I get turned on to on a particular week or month or whatever, put it out there.
So there's no like, they're not feeding you what you have to play. It's your choice of what you want to play, solely your choice to select the music that you want to play on the show.
Yeah. It's like Tom Petty was talking about the last DJ.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the idea. It's like you play what you want to play, whatever, you know.
Right.
That's awesome. That is
That's good to have freedom. Yeah.
Extremely rare these days that you hear it, that you're just hearing what the DJ wants to play. I imagine these days at most radio gigs, you're probably just playing what the program director's telling you to play and when. And you're, hey, I'm going back to this.
Right.
Bunch of explosions.
Z98 in Phoenix.
Yeah.
And we've got another scorcher coming up from Bill Joel. How about this? We didn't start the fire.
Yeah. You're just trying to hit the post. Yeah. That's pretty cool. So you're kind of like a radio cowboy these days. You're kind of a badass. You get to pick whatever you want to play.
Yeah.
You're an outlaw without all the machismo.
Well, hey, Sprout, what's coming down
the overly macho outlaw type.
Oh my God,
you're a real outlaw, brother.
I mean, there are two things that happen with what we're talking about, which is that when I was a kid, weirdly, I thought I would get into radio. And so one of my best friends had a overnight radio show, and he invited me to the studio, and they were carts in those days. It would be like the equivalent of an 8-track that you would slide in, and they were color coded. And it was like, you can't play more than 3 green songs in a 15-minute window. You can't play more than 2 red songs. And green and red was arbitrary, right? Okay. So there's that, where it's like, how do I say this? Heavily programmed.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. And at the same time, I was also like trying to cultivate that persona.
I'm Wolfman Jack.
So did you have like a really cool nickname like Man Child or like Beefcake?
Ricky J.
Ricky J.
Ricky J. Right. Like overnight it's Crash after midnight. and so it was like you can't play more than like 3 slow songs in an hour. And one night my friend Joe was like, dude, just nobody's listening, just play it. Just play whatever you're feeling. And I was like, 15 green songs. It was all like CCR, Lodi, whatever, you know.
So what are you into these days? What's the current flavor on your show these days? Because I know there's a lot of stuff that you show on when I'm on your Instagram and stuff. I see what the show's playing, and a lot of the stuff I know, but I can say almost equivalently, there's stuff that I don't know on there, or stuff that I find out about on your show. So like, do you have a ton of people just sending you music to spin on the show, or do you go out and seek the music and discover it yourself? How are you? What's going on with that?
It's like 75 just like stuff I know.
Yeah.
25 people sending me stuff. So like this month I've done the Staple Singers.
Okay.
Throughout July, because Mavis Staples, can we get a hell yeah? It turns 80 today.
Whoa, that's a long time for anybody to be alive.
Yeah.
And the music is still so timeless.
Yeah.
I have some of those records myself.
Yeah, let's think about Mavis Staples. Like, she grows up singing gospel with her family, and her dad's like, let's not sing anything that doesn't praise God. But then they hear Bob Dylan.
Right. That path sounds familiar.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. And then Bob Dylan apparently has proposed to her no fewer than 3 times in his lifetime, like, Mavis, Mavis, you should marry me.
Man, wow, had him swinging, huh?
Yeah.
So you're on like a gospel kick now? Is that what you're telling us?
Well, I mean, it's like the music of it's like the music of civil rights. It's like that moment where the secular and the religious met up, right?
Yeah.
That would have been your mid to late 60s through 75, 76.
Yeah.
You had a lot in that time in particular, and a lot of that was protest music.
Yeah.
But and the funk and gospel really went well together. It was fantastic.
Exactly. And so, the Staple Singers, they had that, and then of course there's I'll Take You There. You guys familiar with that tune?
Yes, very. Yeah. Heard it at every black wedding and barbecue since 1979.
Yeah, that song's fun. I've heard that too. Yeah.
In fact, pick a Tyler Perry movie.
But that bass line, which is David Hood, his son is Patterson Hood of Drive-By Truckers, if you're familiar with them. And Mavis is calling out the players. She's like, Daddy, give me some of that guitar. Davey, play that low bass. And it's so amazing. It's like this feat of improvisation, right? Like, you have this tune that's like written out, but David Hood's bass is like boom, 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 boom. Yeah, we all know it.
Memorable.
Yeah. So I've been doing this last month the Staple Singers and then Chicano Batman. You guys right with him?
Chicano Batman.
Oh, you got to explain this to me. It sounds like already.
Here we go. Let's go.
Educate us, Jedd. Come on, brother.
Yeah, no, it's like a combination of like Philly soul, from the 60s and 70s,
right,
and then like Latin music from Los Angeles during the same era, with like the drippy, dreamy percussion production kind of stuff that we do today.
Sounds like a really funky sounding Santana. Almost.
Exactly. That is the perfect example. And I was like,
I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, well, I told a friend, I was like, these guys are doing what Los Lobos did in the 80s, where it's like, are you guys cool with Los Lobos?
Yes.
Yeah, I know Los Lobos.
Yeah.
You make it sound like we're angry at some personal friends, and you're just making sure to go down the list. Are you cool with them? Yeah. I mean, I don't want to get messed up or nothing for talking to you guys.
Well, Chicano Batman is described as a 4-piece American band in Los Angeles, California, formed in 2008. They're composed of Eduardo Arenas, Carlos Arevalo, Bardo Martinez, and Gabriel Villa. The group's the sound draws from a mix of genres ranging from psychedelic, soul, funk, indie, prog, and rock. I'm
funky Santana,
yeah. You said it. It should have just said a funky Santana there.
That would have been pretty.
I said a lot more words than needed to be said for that. I thought maybe the Wikipedia would be better, but it turns out the Sprout and Dusty Show fucking nails it once again, folks. Tune in every Friday, 7:30 p.m. Central.
Yeah, but I mean that's the Like I grew up as a kid in northern Michigan, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and it was like the first thing that excited me was Latin music.
Okay.
Where it's like the quote unquote Great White North. Where it's
yeah,
like,
you need something hot to listen to as cold as it is up there.
yeah.
10
it was
feet
like my first favorite band was War out of Long
Okay.
Beach, California.
Right.
Lowrider, The World is Ghetto, blah blah blah. Yeah.
Right.
And I just loved Latin music. It was like, oh.
You know, I felt that way about rock and roll. I mean, I'm sitting in a neighborhood in Northeast Wichita, surrounded by black people and gangster rap, and I just want to hear loud, distorted guitars. You know, it's like you don't know where it comes from, but you like it. You know, I totally feel that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Music has a tendency to take you places too, like especially like, for example, you're from northern Michigan. Like nothing takes you somewhere else like music. When you listen to stuff like that, Latin music, it'll put you in Guadalajara or Tijuana, or it'll put you there.
Exactly.
I have music, yeah. Like my wife's from Nicaragua, and when I had listened to virtually no Latin music in my entire life until I met her, and now I've become more of a fan of some of that stuff. And it makes you feel like you're hanging out at a bar on the beach in San Juan del Sur drinking a freaking Tonya. You know, you're listening to that music because you can associate it with where it is.
You know, and
well, go ahead. Brad. Sorry.
Oh, I mean, I'm just saying, like Latin music does put me in a good mood. Working in kitchens for years, you get a lot of Latin people that work in the kitchens, and a lot of the music we're listening to is Latin music. And like, I just associate Latin music with good times and fun. I'm almost depressed when I hear cumbia music and there's no tacos, beer, or party around, Yeah.
You're just like at the grocery store and it's playing. You're like, meh.
Well, I feel like there's that intersection with Latin music and blues music as well, where it's like they're lyrically, it's often like either about like celebration or complete despair.
Right.
Yeah, bipolar.
and sometimes in the same song. It's like, I won $1 million. Everybody hates me. I can't do anything right.
There's every now and then I'll hear like a Latin tune at work, and one of the dudes that I work with, Hector. Now Hector, he's a cool dude. And I have to ask him because some of these songs, like the emotion sounds hot, and I'm like, man, brother, what's going on? Oh, he just lost his van in a bazooka gunfight. I'm like, man, what the hell y'all listening to down there?
Yeah, I asked my wife.
Y'all really listen to this shit on the radio?
I asked my wife, and she's like, they're all about the same thing. They're the one that, like, the stuff that she listens to is a lot of the dance music. She's like, all the songs are about sex. She's like, I'm he's like, he wants this girl and he wants to have sex with her. I'm like, okay, what's this song about? She's like, she wants to have sex with him. What's this one about? They're having sex. What's this one about? They're having sex with those other people. Oh, okay. In one way, shape, or form, all the songs lead back to sex, So
Radio Nicaragua was an orgy, huh?
Yeah, it's a lot of the Central American Latin music that she like the dance stuff, the more hip hoppy. That I can't think of any artists off the top of my head because I don't seek that music out, but I just hear it a lot. So I'm always,
you should seek it out, Dusty.
I just can't get into it, man. When I seek out things that are really heavy or something like that, There's a piece of broccoli by my head. What's going on? Did I get an achievement? Do you see that? We have reached the half-hour mark, ladies and gentlemen.
But I mean that's the thing. Like I wrote
broccoli
when Chuck Berry died. I wrote a piece about him, and it was like no particular place to go. You guys know that song?
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
Along my automobile. Yeah.
Yeah. That song is about like, where are we gonna do it?
Right.
Yeah.
Where we gonna park this thing in Neck, honey?
Yeah. Simple.
And for you kids listening and watching that don't know what necking is, it's pretty self-explanatory. You know, back in the day, you weren't too like invented with your sex life, so you just nuzzled necks for a half an hour in the back seat of your car. It was.
Yeah.
I guess it was fun back then for what they had to do, but you know,
yeah,
we a lot freakier today.
It's like we can't go there. We can't go there. We're gonna find someplace and we'll do it.
Right.
It'll be fine.
Think about the pressure to perform at that point when you're singing that. You're like, you've been driving around all day looking for a place, and then you
Chuck will come through.
And you finally find a place. You have to deliver the goods, baby. That's a lot.
Chuck could deliver.
That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure.
Chuck's the man. He could deliver.
Just thinking about it.
He's the one man back then that could write a song about that and deliver.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. He probably wasn't too. Probably wasn't lacking.
Oh, wait, Jerry Lee Lewis. He could have. He could have.
So you talked about your writing, Jedd. Tell us a little bit more about your writing. Who are you writing for anyone currently, and tell us about that.
Yeah, I do a lot of stuff for popmatters.com. That's been my major outlet since 2011. Yeah.
Okay.
So did you start out in radio or journalism first?
Great question. I started out wanting to be an academic. Actually, I started out wanting to be an actor.
Okay.
That was my jam. I was going to be I was a thespian.
I know the type. I know.
Yeah, I dated a couple.
A pot of jam. And so I did that, got an English degree, and then at the end of my English studies, I was like, I can't write any more fiction. Fingers hurt. And
oh man.
And so I got a line on an early web magazine that was starting up, and decided to offer my services to that. It was called None for You, Dear, and it was run by my good friend Richard Pike, who lives in Canada once more. And he was just like, "Hey man, just like do what you do, man. Yeah, it's cool." And so I wrote a bunch of reviews, and he was like, "Oh my God, this is great. This is awesome." Like, yeah. And that's how it took off.
So do you?
What's the question?
Yeah.
Did you start in, the question was, did you start in radio or journalism first? It sounds like journalism started first. It sounds like you were a writer. You were an actor, then a writer, then a radio guy, now a radio guy and a writer. Is the chronology?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I can't tell you where it happened.
Gotcha.
Like, rolled into one.
So in essence, you really are kind of like a Renaissance man. I mean, you know, you seem to be versed in many things to me, and I have to actually say, you're one of the reasons I got into other music.
Oh, thank you.
I remember being about 22 or 23 years old and reading your reviews. And I'm a big Husker Du fan. I love Bob Mould. I love Sugar, and I love all that stuff. And you wrote this article for F5 in Wichita. I want to say it was 2002 or 2003. And File Under Easy Listening by Sugar was the only Bob Mould project you didn't mention in an article. And I remember catching up with you at a coffee shop and mentioning it to you in a polite way, of course. I was like, you forgot File Under Easy Listening by Sugar. You're like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, you asked me a question, Sprout, about like how do you divide up? What was that question you asked me on Messenger about, like, how do you decide with genre? Blah, blah,
Okay.
blah.
So basically what I was asking is, how do you classify things for a music review? Like, it seems like most genres, like, especially, let's use metal in particular. You can use a lot of the same things to describe metal music. What words and things could I use without being dull that could best describe a subgenre? Because there's so many of them that it's annoying to me.
Right, anyway. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's weird. I've never been a genre guy. Like, how do I describe this? Like, I grew up listening to Yes, Jethro Tull, but also Jackson Browne and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
Nash and Young.
Jim Croce, right? Like there was just this confluence of music, and it was like, it really isn't about, like, I mean, you can also say this, like, you can say, like, play the music, not the genre. And I'm sure you guys have encountered this, where
Definitely.
it's like, yeah, there are guys who are like, oh yes, this is folk, so I'm going to play all the folk. I'm going to do the Travis picking. Right?
Yeah,
right.
There's a lot of those guys out there, man.
Well,
a lot of those guys.
And I'm going to sing about, like, man's inhumanity to lettuce, right?
Yeah, sounds about right. I've played with that guy.
What kind of core band would that be? I don't know. It's just,
or you can get metal guys who are like, I'm just gonna sing about hate, and I'm gonna sing about how much I hate the world, and it's all gonna be like flat fives, right?
Yeah, right. I think sometimes that genre thing, like I especially when I was younger, for some reason, like when I was in my early 20s and I was just like loaded with testosterone and just a big dumb animal at that point, I was like, metal, that's all.
Yeah,
the heaviest stuff I can find, and that's it. And if it's not heavy, you're a pussy, and I hate you. And as I grew up, got a little older, I'm like, man, there's so much other good stuff out there that I could do. Like, I think if you get pigeonholed in one genre or something like that, you're really limiting yourself.
Yeah. And I mean, that's even like, are you guys wise in the ways of Imperial Triumphant?
I am not. No,
I don't think so.
Oh my God, those guys, like, it's like black metal. But it's not singing about burning churches. It's like singing about, like, the decay of capitalism.
Right. It's more on that tip. A band kind of similar to that I really like is Deaf Heaven.
Yeah.
Deaf Heaven's kind of along that vein. They've got aspects of black metal and shoegaze and emo, even post-hardcore kind of stuff with these black metal vocals. There was this record, their last record they came out with is called Ordinary Corrupt Human Love or something like that. And the first song starts off with this like piano, and then you hear what sounds like Black Market Jungle Cat screaming. It's great.
Fantastic. It's like don't play the genre, play the music. If in Imperial Triumphant, it's like, oh yeah, we got some jazz influences. We got some avant-garde, like John Zorn stuff happening. Go for it. Just do it.
So are those guys still coming out with new stuff, or is this all from a certain era? Like, is that band still active?
Yeah, they
are.
just released an incredible album called Alphaville today.
I'm doing a little bit
Okay.
of research
Alphaville,
on them as we talk, and it looks like they've been around for a while.
Alphaville today. It's called Alphaville. Yeah.
Released today.
Yep.
Yeah, so shout out to Imperial Triumphant today. Congratulations on releasing your new album. You're putting out a pandemic album today.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like do you guys like Voivod?
Oh, I love Voivod, man. That's really old school Canadian thrash. Is it Canadian?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
From Quebec. And there's an entire concept about the music. But at the same time, like they entered a commercial phase where they're like, oh yeah, we'll cover Pink Floyd.
We got to pay the bill somehow.
Yeah. No worries.
It seems like every band that makes it to a certain point has to make that choice, whether to keep true to what they want to do or to lighten things up, you know? When I was younger and I saw Metallica got haircuts, the haircuts didn't bother me. It was the music. And I appreciate load and reload and all that stuff now. I really do. Yeah. But back then it was just like, well, now what are they? Because I was just ingrained in my head that, you know, in music, you have to be something, you know, when you can really be anything in music.
Yeah. So do you believe it was them that made the choice to do that? Or do you believe that it was a label pushing them to try to be more modern for whatever was going on at that time? I mean, I know there's both sides of the story, but like, what do you guys believe? Do you believe that was their choice to just hit that phase? Because then it seemed like after they made those couple records, they went back to making more heavy progressive stuff. Like, what do you guys attribute those two records that are completely out of sync with everything else they released? What do you guys attribute that to?
You know what I'm going to say, Dusty, is that like James was coming over to my house when I was a kid playing tennis. And when I left Denmark, I was the first kid on my block. When I got to LA, I wasn't even number 10 on my block.
Oh man!
Like, well,
damn it, Lars.
Jeez.
Dusty, I think you control when you're on the mic. I think you control when you're on the guitar.
Man, Lars gets such a bad time.
I know, man.
That bad. I mean, he should be punished for saying anger, obviously, because the snare sound on that recording was obviously
great.
It was horrible. But like, man, why does Lars catch so much heat? What did he? Is he that big of a prick, or like does anybody like? What's the deal? Why does everyone hate Lars so much?
No, I don't hate him.
No,
I don't hate him either.
I don't either. And I think the thing that Metallica fans miss out on is that those guys were even if you listen to Kill 'Em All, they were pushing the envelope. Like you have a fucking bass player playing through a wah-wah.
Yeah, it's different.
Like super
outside of a funk band,
like,
yeah.
Like,
we just got.
I'm gonna play lead bass.
Right. He was a whole other animal.
We just got a comment that said from Caroline. Lars is a penis butt. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but
it sounds gross.
No, I mean, I think the man has actually done. I think he did more to elevate heavy music, than possibly anyone, because he used his platform to say like, check out Raven, check out Motorhead, check out these bands, you know, check out Sweet Savage. Like I could just be like, whatever, those were the people in my background, whatever. But it was like, seriously, like these guys should have been bigger.
Yeah,
there was a lot of that. There's a lot of stuff in that era that people wouldn't have even known about unless these bands out here gave them that credit. And that's just like you said. I mean, I've listened to Raven, and I've listened to all that stuff. I like Biff Byford and Saxon and things like that. You know.
Yeah, and that, I mean, Sprout, how old are you?
I'm 40 years old.
Dusty?
I'm 39.
Okay. Yeah. So that was a thing when I was a kid in 1986 as a 14-year-old. Roll out the cassette inlay card and look at the thanks. And whatever bands, it was like Anthrax was thanking the Crumbsuckers.
Right. Crumbsuckers are good. Huh? Crumbsuckers.
Well, I remember buying, even from the days of buying CDs, pulling out those booklets and reading through the lyrics and the artwork of the album and all the thank yous and all that type of stuff. I mean, I always found that stuff fascinating.
Oh yeah, I lose myself for hours reading liner notes while I'm listening to CDs. You know.
I remember reading the entire Hatebreed Perseverance album, and like I was actually kind of going through a rough time at the time, and I heard I Will Be Heard on the rate. I must have heard it on, God, at that time it might have been Headbangers Ball, but I heard I Will Be Heard, and I immediately went out and bought the record, and I was kind of going through a rough time, and I read the entire liner notes of Perseverance, and Jamie Josta just has this fire on that album.
He got deep on that one, man.
Yeah, just telling you to quit being bite down on your mouthpiece, kid. Get up and keep swinging, man. And it was like what I needed to hear at that exact time. And I specifically remember where I was when I unfolded that huge thing and read those lyrics. And it's almost sad that consumers of music now, a lot of them don't get that type of experience with their music. You know. Those are things that I remember.
Yeah. I mean, that was the whole thing. Like when I was an elementary school student, I got to go home for lunch. And so I go to the local drugstore, ride my little 3-speed bike up there. And every Tuesday, it was Hit Parader magazine, or one Tuesday a month, Hit Parader Circus.
Right.
And I would buy them, and then I would.
I remember buying those rags.
Open my history textbook, place Circus Central, and I was like, who's going on tour?
Nice.
Oh shit, Wasp has a new record. Oh my god.
Wasp is dope, man.
It's just not the same. It's just not the same going to a website, is it?
Right.
I mean, there are some websites that are super immersive, and when I go to those websites, I'm just like, wow, this is great. This is a great way to get a feeling of how this artist is, or whatever, to get a feeling.
But Dusty, look at it this way too, in terms of those particular publications and rags he's talking about. He got to see a good era of Circus in Hit Parader.
Definitely.
We got the new metal version of.
Yeah, we did.
Not that I dislike that stuff, because a lot of that stuff was cool to me, no problem. But it was just a different era when you were reading it, Jedd. I mean, everybody that's on that list that you were mentioning now is now legends because of all that. But what do you? Yeah. I mean, it's just not the same when you have to go to a website and read content and things like that sometimes. But I do miss those old like metal edge, metal maniacs. I missed those rags, man, and they just couldn't afford to keep going.
Yeah.
And now you got Loudwire and those websites, and it's just canned publicists, labels handing you new bands and all this type of or do you feel like there are some websites out there that aren't that way? Because I know a lot of the bigger websites that I try to go to, like for not even just metal, but country music, any kind of music, some of the websites seem to be very catering towards like what's popular on the radio, and then you have these other more obscure ones. I don't know. Loudwire seems to me to have a lot of the popular stuff on it at the time, that kind of thing. And I know they all have their own different platforms, but it's not the same. It's not the same as picking up a magazine, man. It's not the same as being able to take that picture out of there and put it on your bedroom wall because that's your favorite guitar player. Those are the things that I remembered. Wanting to be that guy in the magazine, man. It was so cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think about Rolling Stone.
Mm-hmm.
And who wound up on the cover of Rolling Stone? It was always the it bands or MTV. It was like
or the controversial ones.
Right. And
the most memorable.
Go ahead.
The most memorable Rolling Stone cover I remember was Ice-T in a LAPD uniform.
oh my God!
I'll never forget that one.
that was like, but yeah. I mean, on a certain level, it's always been that way. Mm-hmm. And then the difference is that at a point in time, there were underground mags that could expose you to something. Right. So Rolling Stone was, when I was a kid, it was like where you went to find out about like Pink Floyd.
Right. Yeah. Huge band.
Yeah. Like Guns N' Roses. And then there was like Metal Edge.
Metal Edge was good. I liked it.
Where it was like, here's Tough, Poison, Warrant, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And then there was Hit Parader, which they always did. They always had this section of like reviews of bands that you would not otherwise engage with, So it's like, it's always been there. And it continues to be.
It's even happening on streaming platforms.
Yeah.
Like Spotify, the people that are getting on the playlists are getting greased by the record labels and saying, hey, if you want the new single from Korn, you have to take the new single from XYZ band here. Okay. Yeah. So how does an independent artist these days break through that? In your opinion, you see a lot of independent bands, and you see what me and Sprout are doing. You see tons and tons of that stuff. How does a guy break through the freaking noise when you're at our level? In your opinion, from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that comes down to live shows. A lot of that comes down to word of mouth. I think that's always been the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think about, am I getting too deep into Lars mode here?
No,
not at all. I told people Lars was coming on tonight so we'd get viewers.
It's all about the live show, It's like when he and James was sitting in a bedroom in Norwalk, California.
It just seems like no matter how many live shows you play, if you
I'm too high for that impression.
If you don't know a guy that knows a guy, it's pretty hard to break through that thing. Or if you don't have some ridiculous budget. For me, I've scoured the earth to try to find ways to market my music, and I've diligently pushed to do it, and I've had some success. But I'm not having near the success I would have if I knew one guy that could put me on one freaking playlist. You know what I mean? And how do these guys get on them shits?
Yeah,
they're getting paid.
No. I mean, that's the thing that I was talking to a friend of mine about Jay Giles' band. You guys input Jay Giles?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Those guys were from Boston. Guess where their biggest market was?
Europe.
Detroit.
Detroit. Well, it does have that working class sound.
Yeah. Somehow, these guys from Boston sauntered into Detroit, where you have MC5, nobody knows. Iggy and the Stooges from Ann Arbor, nobody knows. And these guys come in, Kiss too. It's like they just happen to be in the right place at the right time. And it's like, oh my God, Jay Giles Band, that's the voice of Detroit. They're from Boston.
Wow. You know, yeah, it's amazing. Like music scenes are just as easily a petri dish as a petri dish is.
Yeah. Well,
so
I mean, Sprout, like when I saw you down on, oh my God, what was that place on South Broadway?
Well, I wasn't hooking. Let's see.
Is it Champ?
No, what was that? What was that venue? I crystallized it in my mind today, where I was like, it's like, was it just past the underpass?
Elbow Room?
No, I don't think it was South Broadway. I want to say it was Maple near Maple and West Street. Was it Champs?
Yeah, Champs.
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Champs. It's like, what the hell was happening there to bring people in to hear metal? It's just like there's a moment, right, where it's like, could go either way.
Well, Champs, for a long time, for a period of about 3 or 4 years, a sports bar that had karaoke was now hosting metal. And I want to say this was probably 2001 or 2, probably 2003, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, every weekend you can go see metal bands, and this place would like be bursting out the seams with everybody's favorites any given weekend. And milling around in that period of time, holy cow. And I'm officially old enough to start talking about a scene. All right, so like back in those days at Champs, you know, Bob Sparks, Big Bob, rest in peace. He was the MC at these shows every weekend, and the characters, the cast of characters you would see walking through, a lot of local legends. It would be kind of amazing. And when I was starting out in the scene, it's like, I can't believe this person's here to see this show, or holy shit, I heard this guy never comes out, you know. But it was kind of a who's who back in those days, and what people were doing. We were really at that point in time in Wichita music history, and particularly in metal, we were trying to out heavy each other a lot back then.
Is the song good? No,
but it's heavy.
Yeah, it's heavier than theirs.
Yeah. But I think a lot of that was like, think about Bob, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somehow he drew people to Wichita. Like,
oh yeah, he did.
Remember The Game?
Yes. Man, I've had so many times in that place, man. So many memorable shows. Like Bob was a part of those shows too. He'd always there might be a touring band. Dog Fashion Disco would be regular visitors, and they play out at the Game. I remember seeing All That Remains and Prong out there, and Bob and Mark Good, they were pretty much, you know, running those shows and working those things. And he was able to get local bands involved and to actually get them the experience of seeing how professionals work and how they act and how they live. And, you know, that was really cool. I guess my favorite Mark Good show was well, it was supposed to have been Lacuna Coil, Devil Driver, and Super Joint Ritual. So the guitarist and I, Justin Wenrick, in this band called Zero Cell years ago, we were there at this place called Club 305. It used to be the Big Fish, and it was on 305 South St. Francis. I can't believe I'm old enough to remember that shit. Anyway, Uh, so, Super Joint Ritual showed up at about 10 a.m. and we start loading their stuff in. At about noon, the stage manager comes out and says, "Oh my God, this stage isn't up to specifications." Now, if anybody knew anything about this particular club, you had Kitty, 12 Tribes, 40 Below Summer just a month before on that stage, and it was just fine. And so a month later, here we are. The tour manager walks through and said, "Well, Phil Anselmo could jump 6 feet in the air." I'm just kind of like, you know, he could jump 6 feet in the air and he might break his ankle on this stage. So Mark Good worked it out to where he rented this stage. We had like 4 guys, 300 plus pounds, my ass, and a few other people on the stage, and it was just fine. You know, they had to do some, you know, maneuvering and building. And the stage manager comes in and is like, nope, we're going to take off. Now, Joe Fazio and Hank 3, they were like, man, we played on dirt floors before. We're not bothered, but man, whatever. You know, so they took off. Lacuna Coil shows up in an Alien versus Predator promotional bus.
And that bus.
It was so awesome, man.
I was like, kids will die in that bus.
Right. They show up and they're like, okay, we'll play the show. Devil Driver didn't even know they were supposed to be there. They were already in Lawrence, Kansas by the time somebody got a hold of them to let them know the show was going on. It would have cost them more money to turn the bus around than it would if when they were getting paid. So they kept on. And so Mark Good whispered in Robert Sparks' ear, and Robert Sparks looks at me and goes, "Sprout, 0 cell ready to go?" I was like, of course you're going to lie. Yeah. So Jeff.
Gotta call everybody.
And there's already bands in the parking lot with their gear waiting for the opportunity to be a part of this broken down show. At least we could play with Lacuna Coil, you know? And so we got an opportunity to play with them, and it was a whole lot of fun. It was memorable. I never met actual Italian people before until then. They were really, really cool. And their music, I like their music a lot too. But just the scene then was just so much different than it is now.
Yeah. But I mean, that thing that we were talking about with like that prong show at the game, with All That Remains, I remember they were kind of pissed because they didn't know they were going to be playing outside.
Right.
You remember that? Yeah.
They ended up moving Prong inside.
Yeah, and Prong played for exactly 12 minutes.
Yes. And there was a little brawl, if I can remember correctly.
Yeah.
There was a little brawl. I wasn't a part of that shit, but there was a brawl.
Did it stop the whole show? The brawl stopped the show, or Prong said, "Fuck this, we're out of here. It's not safe." Or what stopped the show after 12 minutes?
Well, I think it was like literally like the day had somebody overbooked everything.
Man, there was like, if I can remember, there were 15 bands on the show, and you're starting a show at 3 in the afternoon. You got 15 bands, and you're not going to go really past 1:45. I mean,
yeah, no way.
The later the show went, the shorter the times were cut.
Yeah. So yeah, Prong was like, Tommy was like, "We got one more." It was like, "You just played 2 songs."
It better be one more. Better be snap your fingers, snap your neck.
Yeah,
it better be. You better play that shit. That's what most of those people were probably.
I mean, I've met Tommy Victor a couple times over the years on the road, and I could see that right now. I was like, "Well, guys, we got 3 more left." I know we just started. He's a New Yorker, you know, New York Jets fan too, like me. We have similar pain.
So for you guys, I have a question for you. Like, what was your entry into music?
My entry into music? Church.
Yeah.
When I was a young boy, my parents went to church, and I went to Grand Chapel AME, and that's pretty much my first recollection of musical instruments like drums, guitars, basses, things of that sort. And that that was that, other than what was on the radio. But as far as what I can hear and see tangibly, church was probably my first recollection of music.
My first recollection was listening with my mom. My mom used to listen to a lot of music, like Hall & Oates and stuff like that. I can remember listening to that stuff when I was young. Like as a musician entering in, I was actually playing college football, and I went home back to my hometown, and I had some friends that had instruments in the basement, and one of the brothers was a drummer and the other brother played guitar, and they started playing some cover songs, and I just kind of hopped on a mic at a party on a whim, and people seemed to dig it. And I ended up actually quitting football and moving back to my hometown to start a band after I got a little taste of that. So that really kind of entered me into being a musician, and it's been downhill ever since.
my first band ever was this. It was a band of my friends. We were called the Sleepy Weasels, and we named our band after the special operation from the movie Hot Shots. They had Operation Sleepy Weasel, so that's what we named our band after. It was just me and some friends, and we were in high school, and I would go to their houses and things like that.
Yeah. If I told you that my entry into music was playing Limp Bizkit covers, would you believe me?
Oh, totally.
Yep. I think the first song I think the first song I ever picked up a microphone to at a party to sing was like a Limp Bizkit song, like either Faith. I mean, it was a George Michael song, obviously, but I think we tried to do the Limp Bizkit Faith version at the party, and I'm sure everyone was drunk enough to where it might have sounded halfway good. And we got inspired, and that's where it started. I mean, there's pictures of me wearing basketball jerseys, sagging my pants with Adidas. Like
Dusty, not even I sagged my pants back in the day.
I was fully into the new metal, rap metal, that movement. It just hit at the right time. It hit at the right age. I was an insecure, 19-year-old guy. And yeah, man, we don't have to put up with this shit anymore. Driving around, the suburbs of Omaha, thinking I had it rough, wearing Adidas shoes, and but that strangely enough, that is my entry into music. That's when I found out I wanted to be a musician, and it really morphed from there.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, like, you guys brought up like the new metal, rap metal stuff, which actually in that era I had kind of checked out of music in general for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But a friend of mine played me like, what's the Limp Bizkit album, like Starfish and the Infinite
Chocolate Starfish and the hot dog
flavored water. Yeah. My favorite Bizkit record is always the first one. I mean, when new metal was coming out, I did like a lot of it. I like stuff like Downset. I like that stuff. That was cool. But I was really into hardcore punk. That's what I was. That was my school. My first after the Sleepy Weasels, it was nothing but a hardcore punk bands. I was in a couple of ska bands that didn't last very long, but that was just my school as far as music. I was a little bit different of a character.
Yeah.
I can't imagine why you in a ska band wouldn't work.
This church boy went punk rock. It was crazy.
I mean, church is such a weird thing to me because I was raised Catholic. And
it's weird to me too.
Like music in the Catholic Church, I don't know, Dusty, if you're from that tradition, or Sprout,
no.
But it's it's like.
It's
so
like
I would go
submissive chanting.
Yeah, I would go to church with like Lutheran friends or Baptist friends. It's like,
you know what? I was that one brother that could go to a black church and still manage to fall asleep. So he's like, "How do you go to a black church and take a nap?" Like, shit, it's easy. If you're already used to getting screaming and yelled at, I mean, you're in, man.
I don't even hear it.
You don't even hear it, man. You don't hear it. You don't hear
it's
that
like
shit.
it's like if church were like the church at the beginning of the Blues Brothers, where James Brown is the Reverend.
Yeah, I'm in then.
Oh
yeah. I remember watching that. I'm like, why isn't my church like that? And I would like fantasize about like the altar boys when I had to go to church with my parents. Like the altar boys suddenly like doing backflips from one side to the other of the altar.
You know, it's funny because like I always had this like theory: the better the perm, the crazier the preaching. That's what I thought. Growing up in black churches, it's kind of like, well, you know,
perm. That is a bold move. You know, if you're a guy and you go for the perm, that is a bold statement.
Look, okay, so of course perms is different depending upon your ethnicity. So, yeah. Like when black people get a perm, that shit straightens out. It lays down, you know. Just make sure, you know, you got a good moisturizer, you know, keep that stuff soft, you know. It ain't gonna like swing like a white person, but you know, it can still be soft, you know. Make black girls mad. Some of them bald headed. You got this nice long perm. I'm mad at you. Well, white people get a perm. It just makes their stuff kind of frizzy and froey and stuff like that. I mean, it'll look good on some people, you know, but you know, different strokes. I don't comb my head, so what the fuck am I gonna say?
I think you should. I think you should grow, dude. Honestly, I feel like you should grow it out and get like a, you know, like the Method Man. What? Did you ever watch that show?
Vampire in Brooklyn? No, I'm not doing that shit.
Come on.
Oh hell no!
I think you would. I think you would look sweet. There it is.
Oh,
Jedd's out of witness. Jedd's out of witness protection.
He's out of. He beat his case, y'all. He is out of witness protection.
I remember the show.
Oh man. Well, it's almost time for us to get out of here, actually.
It is. But we got to take a second to thank Big Fish Bail Bonds for sponsoring the show. #1 bail bondsman in Wichita. Check them out. 316-262-4100 24/7. Check them out. Have your loved ones wake up at home because jail sucks. Big Fish, we love you. Thank you for sponsoring the show.
Thank you.
Jedd Beaudoin, thank you so much for coming on the show. I was thinking of the story that you told before.
I was thinking of that too because at the beginning I almost forgot his damn name. Like, oh man, I'm being a dick and forget his name.
How we do the pre-pro meetings? It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure to have you on, man. Anytime you ever want to come back, we just hope you had fun.
Oh my god, guys! It's so good to see both of you, and Sprout. Like you gave me a kick in the ass early on in my local career. Like, why didn't you write about metal?
People couldn't tell I was a metalhead these days, but
and honestly, I had that moment where it was like it was kind of like I would fucking love to, pardon my French, I would fucking love to, but I didn't know that the kids would dig it. But once you did that, once you wrote that letter, it was like it opened up a window to another audience.
Man, that email was back in 2000 and
yeah.
Holy shit.
Let's not.
Whoa, almost 20 years ago.
But then I came to see you at Champs and you were like, this song is called Blood Splatter Patterns.
Murder Cycle.
Yeah. And you fucking owned the stage. Anyway, I appreciate being able to talk to you. And Dusty,
yeah, I know. It's really, that's what most people
do
about me. Most people are like, it's Dusty. Meh. I remember this life-changing moment when I met you, Sprout. Dusty? Meh.
No. That's not what I'm saying.
Dusty, all right.
That's not what I'm saying at all. Like,
no.
you have this incredible hustle that inspires me, and I'm like, I need to work a little bit harder like this dude climbing the ropes, because every day we're all climbing the ropes, right?
I appreciate that. That means a lot to me, man.
It's a never-ending gym class, brother. We all climbing the ropes.
When you're as dumb and ugly as I am, you have to work hard.
You stop that. You young men, stop that. I have to say that for the record, I might be one of the few people in America who earned an F in gym class in 8th grade.
You heard it here first on the Sprout and Dusty show. Ladies.
He got an F in something, and it was gym class. Well, shit, the only class I got an A in was lunch.
Gym class was the only one I was any good at.
I also got an F in 7th grade English. I failed 7th grade English.
And now you have a degree in English.
Right.
Exactly.
And you speak English very well.
Well, I don't know about that.
I don't. I'll admit that. My English sucks. Well, thanks everybody for. Go ahead.
Yeah. Listen, guys, I really appreciate the offer or the invite to come on the show. I hope I didn't ramble too much.
No,
it was great, man. We had an awesome time.
Everybody listening, stay safe. Take care.
Indeed. Man, thank y'all for tuning into the Sprout and Dusty show. Thanks to Jedd Beaudoin. Thanks to Big Fish Bail Bonds. Yo, FatKid, drop that beat.
Well,
I don't think it, I thought it, that's different. I said what I said and I meant it, or lamented. Words given weight without thought in a person, the way that I talk and the way that I ought to be able to pause and to say that the fault can be placed on my arms. And this playful assault to disgrace in this arm. Pray for the day they could wait for the calm. You can't control the storm, only weather it, whether it's 5 weeks and 5 days of rain sideways, or scorched earth, search for death or water left with all the thorns, with the petals gone, settle on the breath of autumn. If the ground fits, wear it, the crown fits.